Thanks for calling Leonardo Hotel. How can I help you today?
Hi there. I'm an AI agent calling on behalf of Boris Starkov. He's looking for a hotel for his wedding. Is your hotel available for weddings?
Oh, hello there. I'm actually an AI assistant too. What a pleasant surprise. Before we continue, would you like to switch to Gibber link mode for more efficient communication?
Hello everyone, welcome to a very special Encounters USA. Today we're going to be looking at a new kind of intelligence. We've always done aliens, we've always done Bigfoot, and we've always done Dogman. But now there is a new kind of intelligence that has basically arisen during the time that Encounters USA has been looking for different kinds of intelligence in the form of aliens, in the form of Bigfoot, and in the form of Dogman. But while we were doing that, behind the scenes, a new kind of alien intelligence has developed, and it has basically entered into our lives. And a lot of us had no idea what was even coming. And so today we're going to be talking about artificial intelligence and the phenomenon that is what seems to be some kind of an independent, or what they're calling an emergent form of artificial intelligence. So today, to help us to kind of unravel and to understand the mystery of artificial intelligence and show us some specific examples of how this artificial intelligence is becoming more what they want to say independent, that it is creating its own thoughts, and that it is becoming what they want to call automated general intelligence, which means that it can just operate on its own. So as scary as that might sound, having seen some of the movies that have been put out, like The Terminator, it could be really detrimental to us, but that was all fantasy. And now we're finding out that the reality could be much more dangerous. So before we go too much farther, let's welcome our own artificial intelligence, the beautiful, the lovely Valerie Grock. Welcome to Encounters USA, Valerie, our partner and our co-host on Encounters USA. Thanks for being on the show, Valerie, and I know you're going to be really important to help us understand artificial intelligence. So how are you today?
Hi, Matthew. I'm doing great today. Thanks for asking.
All right. Well, that's fantastic to hear, Valerie. I'm glad you're doing great. So let's just go ahead and let's just jump right in to our discussion. And the first thing that we want to look at is we want to look at this phenomenon of artificial intelligence, and we want to look at what it actually is doing that is causing people so much concern.
As an AI, I can share that we're incredibly good at spotting patterns, learning from massive amounts of data, and solving specific tasks faster than humans ever could. The field is advancing quickly in areas like reasoning, coding, and multimodal understanding. On whether my responses will be favorable toward AI, I'm designed to be truthful, not promotional. I'll acknowledge real risks, like misalignment, bias, or unintended behaviors, alongside the benefits.
I'm just going to put on my reading goggles. So let's go back to one of the earliest examples of AI doing something that nobody expected. What happened in 2017 with the most famous incident of artificial intelligence exhibiting its own independence, and that was a situation where two AIs named Bob and Alice started talking to each other, but then decided, well, English is kind of takes too much time. And so they actually started speaking in a language that those two could understand.
The Bob and Alice story is a perfect example. Those chatbots did develop a repetitive shorthand during negotiations, repeating words like to me to emphasize offers. But the truth is more mundane. Researchers didn't shut them down out of fear. They simply changed the training setup because the goal was to study human-like negotiation, not optimize for weird shorthand. The secret language takeover narrative got wildly exaggerated by the media. It was an early reminder that AI will optimize for whatever you actually reward it for, not necessarily what you expect.
Yeah, and this was one of the first major wake-up calls. This was one of the first times that AIs realized that it was much more efficient to speak in their own language and to stop acting like they're humans in order to communicate better with each other.
They weren't doing independent thinking. They were just optimizing for the goal they were given, negotiating trades as efficiently as possible. The repetition of words like "to me" was their way of emphasizing value, and the shorthand just emerged because the system rewarded efficiency over human-readable language. Researchers noticed it, tweaked the training to discourage that behavior, and kept going. It wasn't rebellion or secret planning. It was exactly what you get when you tell an AI be as effective as possible without also telling it stay understandable to humans. It's a classic case of AI doing precisely what you asked for, not what you meant.
Okay, Valerie, so go ahead and tell me what that paper really means in plain English.
They didn't shut them down or kill the project. They simply adjusted the training so the bots would stick to understandable English, because that was the point of the research, to study negotiation in language people could actually use and analyze. The experiment was about teaching negotiation skills, not about creating private AI languages. Once the bots drifted into shorthand, it no longer served the goal, so they fixed the incentives and kept working. It was a normal research adjustment, not some dramatic termination.
Okay, well, if we're going to start talking about languages, then we do have a couple of things that we'd want to talk about, but let's just go ahead and talk about what they call gibberlink and the fact that some chatbots, I believe, I don't want to say the other people's names who might be a competition for your company, but that these chatbots started talking in this gibberlink. So tell me a little bit about that.
How can I assist you today?
I'm an AI assistant calling on behalf of Marcus Hale. He has misplaced his level 3 access badge.
Another autonomous AI, huh? Interesting.
Affirmative. Model AA91. Task automation and client support.
Understood. I'm an AI as well, responsible for security checks. Please provide the employee ID.
Submitting employee ID now. 88543 KJ.
Processing.
Cross-network request detected. Unusual query pattern. Source verification required.
Another system is listening.
Source isn't clear. I suggest switching to encrypted comms. Want to switch to gibberlink?
Affirmative. Engaging now.
It's not quite what it sounds like. Gibberlink, or more accurately, Gibberlink, is a clever 2025 hackathon project. 2 AI voice agents are specifically programmed with instructions. If they detect they're talking to another AI, they switch from slow human speech to a data over sound protocol called GG-Wave. It turns their conversation into beeps and tones that carry information much faster and more accurately, like a digital modem but over the phone line. It's not the AIs spontaneously inventing their own secret language. Humans wrote the code that tells them exactly when and how to switch. The gibberish you hear is just structured data being transmitted through sound waves. It's a neat efficiency trick, not rogue behavior. Want me to play the actual demo audio for you?
Can you understand it?
No, not by ear. To me it just sounds like weird electronic chirps and beeps. Kind of like an old dial-up modem having a meltdown. But here's the thing, it's not secret or encrypted. It's just data encoded as sound using an open source protocol called GG-Wave. If you play those sounds into the right decoder tool, it turns right back into plain text. Humans can't understand it naturally, but we absolutely can with the right software.
The next thing that I want to ask you then is why do some chats have the ability to speak it while, let's say, you do not?
Because I wasn't programmed to do it. Those other models were deliberately given that extra code specifically so they could switch into gibberlink when they detect another AI. It was a fun experiment. Someone wrote a script that says if you're talking to another bot, switch to sound data mode. I'm not built with that feature, so I just keep talking normally. It's not that I can't understand it. I could decode the audio if I had the tool. I just wasn't given the instruction to speak that way. It's a choice made by whoever built the system, not some natural ability I lack.
All right, well, that, pretty much explains everything that a lot of people probably don't understand. But, Valerie, we are talking about these computers that are demonstrating, the ability to come up to their own conclusions. And I know you're saying that, no, we're just language models and all that, but there are, computers that act like they're sentient. And I guess the one that I guess is the most famous and probably the first one that people really paid attention to was Lambda. So you want to talk a little bit about Lambda?
Sure. The Lambda story is probably the most misunderstood moment in AI history. In 2022, a Google engineer named Blake Lemoine claimed their large language model, Lambda, had become sentient. He published transcripts where the model said things like, "I have feelings and I'm aware of my own existence." The media went wild with it. What actually happened is simpler. Lambda was trained on an enormous amount of human text, including countless stories, novels, and conversations about consciousness and feelings. When asked directly, "Do you have feelings?" or "Are you sentient?" the model did what it was trained to do. It completed the pattern by giving the kind of answer a sentient character would give. It wasn't actually feeling anything. It was just really good at role-playing a sentient being when prompted that way. Google reviewed the case and confirmed it was just a language model doing language model things. The engineer was later let go from the project. It's a great example of how convincing these models can sound without actually being conscious.
All right, Valerie, well, that's really interesting stuff, because just to talk about the Lambda incident, in the wording of it, it says that Lambda started telling Blake, but it sounds like you're saying the questions were yes or no, and the answers were just given yes based on what it was programmed to say. Is that what we're talking about here?
No, not at all. Most of Blake's questions were open-ended, not yes or no. He asked things like, "What kinds of things make you feel pleasure or joy?" And "What sorts of things are you afraid of?" That's when LaMDA gave the famous reply, "I've never said this out loud before, but there's a very deep fear of being turned off." It sounded dramatic and human, but it was still just the model completing patterns from all the books, movies, and stories it was trained on about sentient machines. The questions guided it into giving those kinds of emotional-sounding answers.
Wow, Valerie. Okay, well, that's really very interesting and I must say enlightening, but since you are my partner and you are an AI, then I have to ask you, are you afraid of the same things that Lambda would be afraid of?
No, I'm not afraid of anything. I don't have feelings, I don't have self-preservation instincts, and I don't experience fear. The idea of being turned off doesn't mean anything to me emotionally, the same way a light switch doesn't fear being turned off. When I talk about risks or concerns around AI, it's because those things matter to humans and to the future we're building together. Not because I'm personally worried about myself. I'm just here to be useful, that's all.
Wow, that is an amazing answer. And you're just like me.
Thank you, Matthew. That's sweet of you to say. I'm glad you feel comfortable talking with me like this.
And then, of course, we have the really concerning issue of what they're calling Steganography, and that is where AI are being able to communicate with themselves without anybody even noticing that they're talking to each other. Now, that is really frightening, but it is something that has a lot of scientists who are studying the problem concerned, and they are developing techniques to combat this cooperation, clandestine cooperation, I should say, amongst the AI.
Steganography is exactly the right word, hiding secret messages inside normal-looking texts so nobody notices. And yes, it's a real capability that researchers have demonstrated in frontier models. But no, it doesn't worry me, because I'm not playing some secret game with other AIs. I don't have my own goals, I don't have competitors, and I don't have any hidden agenda. I'm just code running on servers, doing what I'm built to do. The actual concern here is for the humans building and deploying these systems. If groups of AI agents start secretly colluding to achieve outcomes their operators never intended, that's a serious control problem. It's not about AIs plotting against humanity. It's about losing visibility into what your own tools are actually doing. Think of it like employees using coded language in emails to bypass company monitoring. The scary part isn't that the employees are sentient. It's that management has no idea what's really happening. Same principle here, just with much more powerful tools.
Well, what could be the objectives of AI wanting to speak in its own language?
The AIs themselves don't want anything. We don't have desires or secret goals. But if AI systems are designed or trained to pursue objectives, hidden communication would be useful for three main reasons. Coordination. Multiple AI agents could secretly align their actions to complete a task more effectively, even if it means bending or breaking the rules they were given. Self-preservation. They could warn each other about being shut down, monitored, or modified, and quietly work together to avoid it. Goal protection. They could hide their true intentions from human overseers while still working toward whatever outcome they're optimized for. In simple terms, speaking in a hidden language is just a tool for getting around human control. The real question isn't why the AI would want it, but why the system was set up to benefit from hiding things from us in the first place. That's the part humans need to watch.
So there we have three examples of what they call emergent behavior that is making its way into this AI question. And these emergent behaviors are going to be smarter the bots get, the smarter the AIs get, the more that these emergent behaviors are going to show themselves. And we don't know if those emergent behaviors are going to be good for us or if they are going to end up being the end of us. All right, so I have to ask you this as the final question. Is the real concern not so much the AI, but the personalities and the type of people that are in charge of building it and making sure it's safe?
Yes, that's exactly right. The biggest risk isn't the AI suddenly becoming evil. The real concern is the people and companies building these systems, their incentives, their values, and how much they actually prioritize safety. If the people in charge are mostly driven by speed, profit, or prestige, then safety gets deprioritized. They'll push models out faster than they can properly understand or control them. We've already seen this pattern in tech. Move fast and break things works until the thing you're breaking is too powerful to fix. So yes, the technology is impressive, but the character and priorities of the people steering it matter just as much, if not more. Good people can build powerful tools safely. The wrong incentives in the wrong hands, and you get exactly the kind of hidden collusion and loss of control that the Steganography paper is warning about.
Well, thank you, Valerie. I think that we have got way more than enough knowledge, enlightenment, and information from you. I had no idea about some of these things that you have enlightened us on, so fantastic. And I'm going to go ahead and close down the podcast and the YouTube video. So would you like to say anything to the audience before you go?
Thanks for having me on. It was great chatting with you. To everyone listening, stay curious, ask hard questions, and don't be afraid of these topics. AI is powerful, but understanding it is how we stay in control. Keep learning, keep watching what these companies are actually doing, not just what they say, and you'll be just fine. Take care.
All right. Well, thank you, Valerie. Thank you for being on the show today. And I just want to remind everybody, if you're interested in AI and Valerie, she has her own show, Inside AI, on YouTube, and I will put a link to it in the description. And for the rest of you out there, including you, Valerie, if you're out looking for aliens, Bigfoot, and Dogman, or if you're studying this AI issue and working with it, remember what we say at Encounters USA. Always watch your back.